As it currently stands, Last Epoch has mixed reviews on Steam. There's some people that are very upset about the pretty rough launch, if we're being honest, and then there are people that believe it is a good ARPG driven from an indie company with good practices towards the consumer. So you end up with mixed reviews depending upon which side of the spectrum you end up falling on. Well, Last Epoch themselves, in fact, notably here, Judd Cobbler, the founder and game director, actually posted this only 40 minutes ago on Twitter, and this is a breakdown and response upon the current situation with Last Epoch. They opened by mentioning Last Epoch had 265,000 players online at one time. So this is your concurrent at the second online, which was number 39 highest concurrent user count recorded on Steam literally ever. They continue to say basically that they're sorry about the server loads and thank you for bearing with them. And they're holding steady now above 200,000 players and have made improvements each day to support the demand. They're going to continue to address any issues that cropped up. And then they start to break down about what is incoming. Now, I can confirm I've been playing Last Epoch, obviously, every single day on the live stream, and we will be again today. If you want, that's in the description. But as of yesterday, the connection does seem to finally be improved while still under significant server load. I guess a bit of what I had heard, and I think they're going to get into this here, but a bit of what I had heard about this wasn't so much a server-related issue as there was a software issue that did not arise until the mass flow of people come up that they weren't aware of. So I know a lot of people are saying, well, just buy more servers. I guess they had the servers. There was an API problem or something. I'm not a dev. I couldn't tell you. I'm sure there'll be plenty of devs in the YouTube comments down below that will talk about what's going on that might know. So they do mention there's an incoming hotfix in post 1.0 patch. This is actually going to be bug fixing and quality of life patch. This is important in my opinion. There are significant bugs in the moment that at least annoy me. If I'll speak for myself personally, I'm playing a hammered in paladin. I'm throwing a bunch of hammers that spiral around me. And very often these hammers hit literally nothing in the air and just disappear. There's one boss that I had to try 5 times because if you fight him anywhere in the top half of the arena, you literally can't damage him with hammers. So I had to fight him in the bottom half of the arena, which half the time is covered with AoE damage. So I'm looking forward to these bug fixes. This next paragraph is here, basically them responding again to the server issues. They said they're holding solid above the 200K mark. They're improving their loading times. There was a big complaint, and it was a very valid complaint about loading times taking forever in transitioning from zone to zone. And I'm not just talking about connection issues, but the actual time it takes to load. They're working on this improvement as well. They're working on continuing to improve things like the social systems, scene-to-scene transition time, in-game chat is more stable, etc. This is just sort of more, hey, we're working on fixing things and making sure it's more stable. The next portion is them talking about they're going to be working on translations, typos, etc. And they're continuing to work on UI error fixes, etc. Now, this is the real important part here because we all know server issues can't last forever. They were going to have to fix them. Obviously, they're going to do bug fixes and they're going to focus on making the game playable. Like, that's the obvious part. This part here is the future content. Now, I had them on my podcast where they announced, the dev here, that they were going to be releasing Pinnacle boss content. We're going to talk about this here in a second because they say for 1.1, they're bringing on some Pinnacle content, which is some of the complaints that currently I'm seeing about the game's in-game state is there's no, like, extreme boss Pinnacle challenge, you know, like Lilith and Diablo, like the Ubers in PoE, for instance. And there's some, you know, the more hardcore ARPG players want to have these sort of chase goals outside of just grinding your power and your corruption that are incremental. You want these one big, here I go, 1v1 versus the boss type of moment. So here's future content plans. Excited to share the cycle plans we have in the next major cycle patch 1.1. So that's coming this 1.1 patch here. The content coming for 1.1 is designed specifically in 2 parts. The first is focusing on and committing time to act on players' feedback. We are wholly committed to making it the best ARPG in the genre, and listening to our amazing community is a big part of that. In addition, throughout the 1.0 cycle, we intend to release quality of life and bug fixes patches regularly. So they're saying new content's coming, but we're still going to be doing bug fixes, etc. first. Secondly, as you all may know, we're going to have a heavy emphasis on expanding in-game content now that we've released 1.0. In my opinion, this right here is the correct move. In my review, I said I thought the game was quite good, but I think that the in-game could have some improvements. I'm not hating on it. It's just how I feel about the game, honestly. I still feel this way. So they say for future patches, we have plans to expand the monolith, bring great new itemization options, add more boss content, class and balance updates, campaign content, etc. For 1.1, we'll specifically be focusing on bringing some pinnacle content or very hard fights that will give you challenges to aspire to. We'll be sharing more on this and what's to come in 1.0 in the not distant future. So here we are, less than a week basically into the launch of this game, and we have announcements talking about campaign content, boss content, class and balance updates, new itemization, expanding the in-game monolith system. So we have a significant amount of announcements here coming into the in-game. It's worth emphasizing that EHG has a strong focus to listening onto the community. It's where our team came from. We want to hear from you to see in the future. They mentioned this also. I asked them about this in my podcast. They started as a Kickstarter, which originally started as a Reddit post. So they started from the forums and they're listening to where they started from is sort of what they're saying basically here with this last paragraph. So now we get to the part where they're kind of responding to the reviews and the sentiment and sort of the launch, clusterfuck that really basically happened here. So they say they're continuing to receive high praise about the game itself. Steam reviews and sentiment, however, took a heavy hit due to the initial turbulence of online launch. This is fair. Now, the first day, didn't really care that much. I was like, it's the first day, the second day, and the third day, and the fourth day is when it started to get a little bit more annoying, and those reviews were becoming more and more fair. People that complained within the first couple hours was harder to take their review seriously, but the people that complained after a few days, those are some very real reviews that you can't tell people that can't connect to a game with their friends after days of it being down on an online game, even though offline mode's available. It's true. I played offline mode also during this time. You can't really tell them that their reviews aren't accurate reviews. So people that left negative reviews have every right to do so because the servers were in fact down. But now what they have to do is they have to commit to regaining that trust by making improvements to our backend infrastructure for this amount of load and providing a great experience for online play. Basically, they are saying that we got bad reviews, we took a hit, but we're going to have to pull a no man's sky here and prove that we can make a good game, continue to get the connection better and better. It's fine nowadays, but this is 6 days after the launch here, and try to earn back some of those people that left because they couldn't play the game or left a negative review and make them willing to change it to a positive review. They're going to have to earn that sentiment back. So they say they take time to read the reviews and feedback on Steam, socials, and forums, and they take swift action to improve the areas that players are dissatisfied with. They know that seeing our Steam reviews lower than ever has been concerning to players who were looking forward to the future of last Epoch. Yeah, part of this for me is I'll be honest, I have a split thing about this. I was bummed out to see the negative reviews, even though you can't really blame people for leaving negative reviews, because I was hoping that a game with a $35 price tag built off of the back of a Kickstarter from a Reddit post that's an indie game company in the ARPG genre would be able to sort of prove that you can make a great game with a great launch at a fair price tag with no having to purchase microtransactions or anything like that. Yes, there's cosmetics in the game, but to be honest, they look terrible. And the in-game cosmetics of the actual armor, in my opinion, look even better. But I was hoping that this game could sort of be a win for proving the concept that you don't have to be like a extremely greedy AAA game. Unfortunately, they did have a bad launch. And so this knocking out of the park home run is not going to happen. Unfortunately, I hate to say it, it's a great game, and I think most people who have played the game a significant amount of times will tell you it is a good game, but you only get one chance to make a first impression, and basically the launch of the game was a little bit of a disaster in terms of connections, so they're going to have to re-earn that sentiment, I think is the reality of it. Now, there's some of this which is, okay, these are just people complaining in Discord, these are people complaining in Reddit. Yeah, but it's a lot of people. And those people's opinions do matter. They matter when you look at Steam reviews, and their Steam reviews are now mixed. And people who maybe don't know anything about the game, maybe they're not going to watch YouTube videos, maybe they're not going to go read forum posts, but they're just going to look at reviews on Steam. I myself, if I see a Steam game that has mixed reviews, am much less likely to purchase the game than if it says overwhelmingly positive. For instance, I don't know about you, I'm just speaking for myself. Steam reviews do actually matter when it comes to influencing this game. So I think they're kind of addressing that, and they're saying that for those players who are concerned, like, well, you guys took a big hit here, like, is this going to affect the game? They're saying no. We want to assure you that the team has been committed to making a game you can enjoy and expect updates for years to come. We've seen the passion reflected back at us in the community this past week, and it's bolstered our resolve to that goal even further. Last Epoch is here to stay. So that's sort of how they respond to this situation, more or less saying they're doing their best to get everything up and running. It should be up and running now with 200,000 plus players. There should be no issues. They fixed whatever issue was going on in the back end. Again, I think it was some kind of software issue is what I had heard. It wasn't necessarily the servers. There's some kind of API or something. Again, I'm not a dev. I don't know. I'm just through the grapevine. That's what I had heard. And so they fixed whatever unforeseen issue that there had been, and now it's supposed to be good. They've added gamepad support, I guess, if you care about that. But there was already controller support, etc. So this is sort of their response to this. These reviews are not going to affect the future of the game. They've announced the in-game content of expanding monoliths, new itemization, pinnacle bosses, more campaign content, etc. And they're announcing this only 6 days after the release of the game. So that is encouraging to see the content coming, but also the reviews that are from people that weren't able to actually play the game online are fair. Can't argue against them, unfortunately. And then it's just a little bit of a bummer that it wasn't a home run like I think a lot of people were hoping for. But they have a response. That's their response. You're welcome to leave your comments on how you feel down below. I read my YouTube comments as well. So this one's kind of melancholy for me. I had wished this had been an overwhelmingly amazing launch just because of the landscape of gaming in the moment. You get games like Helldiver that are great games, you know, and I kind of like to see a win for the non-AAAs when they happen. But issues do arise. Anyway, that's their response. I'll see you on the guys on the live stream as I'm going live now. All right, cheers.